everyone, back to channel. Today we are going to start physiology of bacteria, microbiology. So first let's see the requirements for the bacterial growth. They are the nutrients, temperature, aeration, hydrogen ion concentration and osmotic pressure. Now let's see them one by one. First the nutrients, which are coming from the surroundings for the metabolic activity and the growth of the bacteria. So the nutrients, organisms is a variety of nutrients for their energy needs to build organic molecules and cellular structures. So among them the first one comes the water, next the elements, organics, compounds and also some inorganic compounds and some amino acids, purines and pyrimidines. So actually these nutrients are of two types, that is the macronutrients and micronutrients. As the name suggests, macronutrients which are required in the large quantities. They are important for maintaining the cell structure and also the metabolism. And the micronutrients are the small nutrients which are required for the function of the enzyme system. The important bacteria only on the one organic material. Actually important bacteria can be grown only in the one organic material, but some bacteria are more complex. They need many organic compounds. They are known as fastidious bacteria. And next, optimum conditions are water, carbon, nitrogen, inorganic salts, growth factors. We should also include growth factors here. And next, source of energy also. And next, the water. As you can see, it is the number one. The water is a principal part of the bacteria. 80% it's present in the bacteria, the vehicle for the entry of the nutrients into and out of the cells, and it is an integral part of the protoplasm. And next, the carbon and nitrogen energy. Actually based on the classifying microbes according to their energy and carbon sources. Based on energy sources, actually they are divided into phototropes and chemotrophs. Phototropes are that which take the energy from the sunlight, use light as an energy source to photosynthesis. Chemotrophs use the inorganic and organic chemicals. Example you can take here the nitrobia and nitrosomnas. And next, based on carbon source, they are divided into autotrophs, heterotrophs. Autotrophs use carbon dioxide. Heterotrophs do not use carbon dioxide as their carbon source. Autotrophs actually use this carbon dioxide and also nitrogen and synthesize them to useful metabolites, so they can survive independently because they can produce their own metabolites. And they live mostly in the soil, water. Important actually for the soil fertility, but not in humans because it doesn't cause mostly diseases in human. So example are nitrogen fixing bacteria. But the heterotrophs are the most important for humans because almost all disease causing bacteria belong to the heterotrophs. Actually they use the carbon, energy and also carbohydrates, amino acids, lipids, nucleotides and coenzymes. So this is about heterotrophs, important in causing diseases. And next, based on temperature, how they are divided based on the temperature. The pathogenic bacteria are grown in the body temperature actually at 37 degrees, but the optimum temperature is 42 degrees for Campylobacterium jejuni and lower 30 degrees to Yersinia pestis. So actually you can see the temperature, based on temperature they are divided into psychophiles, mesophiles, thermophiles. Psychophiles are cold living, that they can even grow at 0 degrees and also they are below 15 degrees and they can't grow above the 20 degrees. And next, the thermophiles. Thermophiles are heat loving. They are cold loving, they are heat loving. The thermophiles at greater than 45 degrees or 45 to 80 degrees, and extreme thermophiles also live at 250 degrees. They are spore forming mostly. Example, Bacillus clostridia. So under thermophiles we can take the Bacillus and Clostridia. And next, the mesophiles. In between this psychophiles and thermophiles remains the mesophiles with a moderate temperature loving, that is 20 to 40 degrees. Major pathogenic. So major pathogenic among temperature is the mesophiles. And next, here you can see the graph. Minimum means psychophiles, optimum means in between this both is the mesophiles, and the thermophiles they go to the maximum. And next, the temperature. Optimum growth temperature usually near top of the growth range, death above the maximum temperature because of enzyme inactivation. Mesophiles is the most common group of organism. 40 degrees or 5 degrees slows or stops the growth of the most microbes. Okay, now let's see based on the aeration, that is based on the presence of oxygen, how they are divided. The obligate parasites or the strict aerobes, that they need only oxygen for their growth, so only they can be alive. And next, the aerophilic bacteria require only low oxygen concentration for their growth. Here you can take Helicobacter pylori, which is found in the stomach. And next we have the obligate anaerobes, which doesn't need strictly oxygen. Oxygen is like toxin to them, so die in the presence of oxygen. And next, the facultative anaerobes, not strict aerobes or anaerobes, means they can live even with the oxygen or without oxygen. Many yeast and enteric bacteria, Escherichia coli and Staphylococcus aureus. One more extra point about the book, that is aerotolerant anaerobes don't use oxygen but are not killed by it. That is Lactobacillus. This genus will make pickles from cucumbers and cheese from milks. So they don't use oxygen but are not killed by it. So this is about aeration. So and also they are divided based on the carbon dioxide of metabolism. In bacteria, the carbon dioxide is produced, and also they take up by the environment, and the few need more carbon dioxide, 5 to 10% for the growth. So those kind of bacteria are called capnophilic bacteria, that is carbon dioxide loving bacteria. So what are those? There are Brucella, Neisseria and Pneumococci. So this is about carbon dioxide. And now let us see based on pH. So based on pH, the pathogenic bacteria are living in the pH range of 7.2 to 7.6, that is neutral or alkaline, and the poor below pH 6 and above 7.8, and stops at the pH 5 and above 9. So they grow acidic. If some bacteria grow in acidic conditions, they are known as acidophilic bacteria like Lactobacillus species, and Vibrio cholera are sensitive to acid but tolerate the alkali. So now let us see here. As with temperature, bacteria have minimum, optimum and maximum pH range. Neutrophils. Protozoa and most bacteria have an optimum pH range of 6.5 to 7.5. pH range of human organs and tissues. Acidophiles. Most fungi and some bacteria best in acid niches. Obligate acidophiles have to live in acidic environment. Acid tolerant microbes will survive in acidic environment but not prefer that. Any symptoms? Helicobacter species only known as microorganism to thrive in highly acidic environment of stomach. So this you can take it as one example. And next, even based on the light, that is almost most of the bacteria grow in dark. They are sensitive to UV light and radiations, but the photosynthetic bacteria need light, like photochromogenic mycobacteria release the pigment when it is exposed to light. And based on osmotic effect, the cell wall is actually resists the osmotic pressure, but sometimes in plasmolysis it may shrink the protoplasm, and mostly in the gram-negative bacteria, and plasmoptysis, that is swell and rupture the cell wall, so it can't resist the osmotic pressure. So let us hear osmotic pressure. Cell wall of the bacteria prevent them from exploding in hypotonic environment, but most bacteria are vulnerable in hypertonic, that is plasmolysis. Many bacteria can be plasmolysed by high concentration of solutes. The water moves out of the bacterium and the dies of the hyperosmotic shock or desiccation. See about the bacterial growth. So actually before the bacteria grows, first the mass of the bacterial cell increase, and next the binary fission takes place. And next here you can see increase in the number of cells, not cell size. One cell becomes colony of million cells. Control of growth is important for infection control, growth of industrial and biotic organism. So in binary fission, first what happens is the DNA splits to two strands and form the new complementary strand. Here you can see in this diagram, new complementary strand is forming here. And next this is separated to both the daughter cells. As it is separated, a transverse septum appears in between. This is the transverse septum. And next this transverse septum is dividing the two daughter cells. So in some bacteria also budding may takes place, that is the bud is separated from the mother cell. The time to the bacteria to form the two cells is known as generation time or population doubling time. In most bacteria, the generation time is 20 minutes. In tuberculous bacilli, it is 20 hours. And in lepra bacilli, it is 20 days. So the bacteria inoculated to the liquid medium actually, and incubated in suitable temperature, pH, and pass through different phases of the growth. When bacteria count of the culture determined in different intervals and plotted in relation to time growth curve, actually the curve is formed that we will see. So here you can see first we have the lag phase, next we have the log phase, next we have the stationary phase, and the death phase or the decline phase. So first the lag phase takes place. It is next to inoculation and no multiplication takes place. It adapts to the environment and enzymes, and the cell size only increase it is the phase between the inoculation and multiplication. No cell number increase, only the cell size increase in the lag phase. And in the log phase, exponential phase, the cell division takes place in the maximum rate and the number of bacteria increase with the time. And in the stationary phase, the growth rate slow as the nutrients decrease and also the toxics accumulate, so it decreases. The rate of cell division is equal to the rate of death here, that is meaning stable. And the viable count also stable. So what is this viable count? Viable count is that only the living bacteria are counted here. This is known as viable count, and it also remains stable. And in the decline phase, the rate of the bacterial division slows down than the rate of the death. And the autolysis is also the reason for the decline of the viable count. So this is about bacterial growth curve. And next here you see the dynamics of the bacterial growth, that is the lag phase. We have already discussed log phase, also known as exponential phase, and the dynamics of the bacterial growth, stationary phase and the death phase. So this is how the graph continues. This is the graph. Lag phase, exponential growth phase or log phase, stationary phase and the death phase, and some cells remain viable. This is a standard growth curve. And next, the measuring growth. We can measure the bacteria by the cell mass or the cell number. If you measure it by the cell mass, that is by using the dry weight packed cell volume, and we also see the nitrogen content, and we use the spectrophotometer. But to count the cell number, we use the total count or the viable count. So what are this total count and viable count? Let us see. Actually, here you can see in indirect methods we use the dry weight, that is to see the cell mass. This is the process of dry weight. You can see some pictures related to dry weight. In indirect methods we also use the metabolic activity and the measurements of turbidity. But in direct methods we use the measurable effects of bacterial growth, that is in direct count the individual cells, that is total counting, and also viable counting. The total counting is the total bacteria in the given suspension by counting under the microscope using counting chamber. So like this, by using counting chamber we will count the bacteria. And the viable only living bacteria are counted by dilution or MPN. Actually MPN method is used in drinking water counting. And the plating method. So here you can see the plating method pictures. This is the plating method. Plating method is a specimen inoculated to the solid medium or the plate or pouring plate and form the colonies by the bacteria are counted. So here the colonies are formed and these colonies are counted. Continuous culture. Sometimes the bacteria growth end by the decline phase, but sometimes we do the continuous culture for research and industrial purposes. So we are going to supply the extra nutrition, so the growth continues. And in vivo means in human, and in vitro means artificial experiments. This we know. Aerobic bacteria usually obtain energy by oxidation of hydrogen or electron acceptor, and in anaerobic the hydrogen or electron acceptor is other than oxygen, because anaerobic faculty to utilize the both, that is oxygen aerobic or anaerobic. Now let us see about the energy metabolism. The sugars formed are obtained broken down to release energy. The respiration is a series of reaction in which energy is released from glucose. So it is divided into aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration and fermentation. First let us see the aerobic respiration. This is actually the oxidation. In the aerobic bacteria, actually the electron acceptor is the oxygen, and aerobic respiration takes place, which results to the product of carbon dioxide and water, and also release of energy. The energy is released in the form of ATP by the oxidative phosphorylation process. Is that glucose plus oxygen, carbon dioxide and water energy. The energy is shown in the brackets because it is not a substrate, it is produced by the oxidative phosphorylation. Glucose and oxygen are used up, carbon dioxide and water produced as a waste products. Now let us see the anaerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration, it is due to the fermentation process. Here the electron acceptor is the nitrate and the sulfide, and the anaerobic respiration. And the carbon and the energy are source act as electron donors and electron acceptors in the oxidative reductions. Actually the products formed here are the lactic acid, or it may be any type of acid, and also energy. The acid may be lactic acid, formic acid, pyruvic acid, or alcohol and gases like hydrogen and carbon dioxide. Here the energy is produced by the substrate level phosphorylation. As it is formed by substrate level phosphorylation, the ATP produced is very low. Actually, this energy is carried by both obligative or facilitative anaerobes. Can get the energy by either fermentation or respiration. Usually the growth is low in the facultative anaerobes because it has the low oxygen. So this is about anaerobic respiration, because the waste product is lactic acid rather than the carbon dioxide and water. But here the waste products are carbon dioxide and water in the aerobic respiration. Now let us see fermentation. Fermentation is a metabolic process, converts sugars to acids, gases or alcohol. We have already discussed acid, gases and alcohol, and little energy, that is due to the substrate level phosphorylation. So that is important. And next, what we see is energy metabolism. It completely by aerobic we give 38 ATP, anaerobic 2 ATP, and fermentation less than 2 yield, less than 38, absence of oxygen. Actually there is a redox potential, that is oxidizing agent capable to take the electron, and the reducing agent which is able to give the electron. Is that it accepts or loses the electron, that is oxidation and reduction potential. It is represented by EH, and it is measured by millivolts. Strict anaerobes have less redox potential, less than 0.2 volt, and for aerobes it's usually plus 0.2 to 0.4 volt at the pH 7. So this is all about the physiology of bacteria, very simple. If you like it, please like, share and subscribe.